Welcome to Chaotic Harmony. My name is John.
This is Crystal.
I'm Mark.
I'm Zoe.
We talk about the joys and the challenges of teaching music in the elementary school classroom. We share inspiration, we share struggles, we brainstorm solutions. We would love to have you join us. So today we were just talking after our very first day back after fall break.
Yeah.
How'd it go, guys?
It was back. that's the only way to put it. Like,
It was back. Here we go again,
a
right?
mixture of like, yay, I'm ready to start this, and like, oh, I missed break.
Here we go.
Yeah, I left the house. It was around 7:45 because we're late start. And I looked up at the clock and it was 2. And I was like, whoa, it went really, really fast.
I feel like days without kids always do go really fast. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
man. They feel like half days.
Especially if there's a lot to do. Like,
Yeah.
for me, like, I really I wrote down my list of I need to do these things, and I got to
Without children in my room. Yeah.
Yeah, and
I have to admit, I had a really busy spider on my windowsills at break, so I spent a significant portion of my day cleaning spider webs. I killed the spider too.
Rest in peace, spider.
Rest in peace, spider. Anyway, so we were talking about balance, and I wrote an article for the AOSA Reverberations, thanks friends, Reverberations publication a couple months ago, and it was about taking care of yourself as a music teacher.
Yep.
why do you need to do that?
Oh my gosh, because our jobs are important, and because we leave an imprint on so many hundreds of kids doing what we do. All of us. I teach 400.
I teach almost 500,
Yeah,
I teach 650.
that's a lot of kids.
and there's some that see 1,000.
So just the three
Yeah.
of us today, we teach 1,500 kids. Yeah, I used to teach 1,000 between two schools. That's a lot of little lives. And if we're going to leave the best possible impression upon those, hundreds of kids, we have to be taking care of ourselves. You can't pour from an empty cup.
That's true.
Yeah. So I'm really passionate about this topic. So I am a certified health coach, and I went into that. I have a health coaching business on the side. And I went into that a couple years ago because I myself was very out of balance. I've struggled with my weight my whole life. My whole family has a lot of different, lifestyle health illnesses that they battle. And I always kind of accepted that was just part of my story. Because it was a real point of pain for me. And after I had my kids, I was really struggling even more. And then, so about 2 years ago, I was split between two schools, teaching over 1,000 students, and trying really hard to take care of myself in the meantime, but just really struggling to do it. And so I got myself a health coach, and she helped me find a nutrition plan, and I lost 60 pounds that year. Thank you. You guys watched me melt. Managed to keep it off, and I'm just really passionate about helping other people find the balance that they need to find, because I know that I'm a more patient, gentle teacher, and a better mom, and a more present wife, because I've taken some intentional steps to take care of myself. And Zoe is also very passionate about creating space in her life to take care of herself. And I've learned a lot from Zoe. And Zoe sends me the best texts. Like, I'll be unloading my day, and Zoe will be like, I'm going to send you a mantra.
I don't know if you ever listened to any of the podcasts, Zoe always says something very positive about the person that we're interviewing. Always.
You're so uplifting.
You are.
Aww.
I just really appreciate you, and I appreciate your voice in my life. So I think this is a great topic to bring to the table.
Definitely.
And teacher
Me
burnout
too.
is real.
It is real.
Yeah.
Yes. And I just to comment on your awesome article, Crystal, and the reverberation news.
It's a mouthful.
News.
It's like an email newsletter.
Newsletter. Yeah. I read it, and I really the part about practice stillness resonated with me, and you suggested
It reverberated with you.
it did reverberate with me, and you suggested like maybe just sitting in your classroom after children have left, and like turn out the lights, and like give yourself just that time of quiet. And I remember that being really challenging, so I drove home, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna lie down here, and then I took the best nap Oh, it
How
was
long?
so
You
good.
needed it then.
Over an hour.
Okay.
I did not keep track of how long I was napping for. It was just one of those. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great
I mean,
naps.
that really tells, like, you got to listen to your body.
Yep.
I feel like as teachers, we just push ourselves so hard and we don't listen to the physical cues that we need to.
Yeah.
So before we get into how do you take care of yourself, the way I open the article and kind of what I want to unpack with you guys is, why do you think teachers don't take care of themselves? Why is this even a topic that we need to bring up? What is it about teaching specifically? Why don't we?
Well, you asked a broad question. I was thinking of a specific answer for music teachers.
Yeah, sure.
Specifically. We're creating programs. We've mentioned this in earlier episodes. We're creating programs from nothing. And it often feels like that as we're creating them, if we're not there, we're kind of the linchpin before all things fall apart. I'm sure all teachers feel this way, but as a music teacher specifically, I feel like even more so maybe. I'm not sure. That if we aren't there, then everything will fall apart.
Oh my gosh, do you guys hate getting subs? Because I hate getting subs.
Yeah. It's really hard.
I feel like I can never get a sub, right? 'Cause nobody can be me.
Well, yeah, and then when I bring like sub plans, like, okay, I can't do that. Well, we can do some movement activities
Like
that
my
are
drum
basic.
will be broken.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
There are, unfortunately, music subs don't exist.
Right.
Or there are very few, actually.
There are
I had a
very
coworker, actually, Chloe Beatty, actually subbed for me.
Aww.
But typically there are no music subs.
Right.
Anywhere.
Yeah, unless you manage to find a student before they're student teaching.
Yeah.
That is true as well.
Then everybody uses them and they're booked. But yeah.
I've noticed that teachers in general view this profession as a service profession, and it's hard to untangle like, what does that mean to serve others, and where do those boundaries start and end for, because like teachers are always going above and beyond, and like that's a big reason for why we do what we do, for that making a difference in other people's lives. But
it's a very mission oriented kind of a profession,
right?
Like, if you're gonna last as a teacher, at least.
We aren't being paid bank for what we do.
Wait, what?
I know, believe it or not. And so the big reason why people go in for this profession is because they want to change students' lives.
Right.
And when they're not there, it's...
that's another reason people burn out, though, because I know my husband and I have always done a million different things on the side. Like, we have a photography business, so I've been shooting weddings for 11 years. And I do health coaching, and I do a lot of different little things, and it's changed over the years. I know you guys like have side projects that kind of come in and out. Yeah, here and there. You perform, Zoe. Yeah, you teach outside of your district. Like, yeah.
It is hard saying no.
It is hard saying no.
Yeah, and today actually in our professional development, it was focused around self-care.
Oh.
And it was really awesome. Our principal, Erin Magnan, led that. We were supposed to have a math PD, and then our cohort decided not to do that. So I think we're in the same cohort.
I believe so, yes.
In Resbank. So did you do self-care today?
Today was more focused on topics that are not related to this podcast.
Okay.
Got it.
Yes,
Okay.
self-care has been a big part of some stuff that we've done before, for sure. That's been a focus on our professional development, but today, no.
I've heard that, we talked for like a half a second today about self-care. And somebody brought up that in Austin, their school district has a wellness consultant.
Okay.
Isn't that lovely? We should have a wellness consultant.
We should have a wellness
I
consultant.
think that should be like a required position.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd also be nice if like education got more money to fund those
Well,
things.
but
That's
another issue.
another topic for another time.
For another day. I think it's also easy to justify. I've done this. So, justify not exercising outside of school, because especially as a teacher, you're on your feet all day. I know I'm dragging instruments across the floor, bending over like through 300 times a day to hand out rhythm sticks. No exaggeration. Yeah. So it's like I have an active job. I'm getting my 10,000 steps a day.
I recognize that that's not efficient, but work for me. But like I just get home exhausted.
Yeah, that too.
I'm tired. Like I get to work early. I leave school late.
Yeah.
And I know certain, especially when you get like secondary music, where a lot of people do festivals. So a lot of planning. Where I know someone who often left work around 7:00 every day, and she'd do that. And it's like, it's just because there's a lot of paperwork, a lot of just stuff for us to do.
Oh, it's easy to do.
Yeah.
It's easy to do. I think that our work it could extend as long as you want to make it extend.
It's easy
honestly.
to do.
Yeah.
All right. So maybe we could talk about some, I guess, do we want to dive into our own kind
Your
of
own
Let's do it,
practices?
yeah.
Like,
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I had a breaking point. I almost left the profession. I know you guys know that, but about 4 or 5 years ago now, I started taking some courses on the side to get into computer programming because I was just like, I'm ready to make some money and
Making apps.
Yeah, and I'm just done.
Yeah.
I'm tired of overextending myself. But then I met Lauren and I learned what was going on in Chula Vista. And I mean, you want to talk about a mission oriented,
Right.
Yeah, that lit
It
my
was there.
fire.
Me
It
too.
was
Yes, it
there.
did.
Me too.
Yeah, and I was like, I want to be part of this. There's really cool stuff happening. So
I feel like a lot of these episodes are backstory, and then I met Lauren. And everything
Right?
changed.
oh, she's a firelight.
She is.
She's amazing. Yeah, if you haven't heard that story, episode 0, Prelude, if you want to hear it straight from Lauren herself, go back and listen to it if
Worth
you
the
haven't
listen.
already. It is worth the listen. All of us are very grateful.
Yes.
Definitely.
She's our common denominator. So let's talk about reclaiming our lives and how we do that, reclaiming our time.
Yeah, well, you left us kind of at a cliffhanger, Crystal. You were like, you were like
I was
about to
about
leave, and then
to.
you,
Yeah.
and
Give
then you
up.
met Lauren.
Well,
and
I met Lauren, and I got into the district, and I started teaching, and loved it, but also recognized that if I was going to reestablish these programs and teach so many kids, I was going to have to find the balance that I wasn't. So I was my moment of reckoning came when I went to the doctor and had some blood work drawn and was pre-diabetic. And this was like after a year of working out with a personal trainer and really trying to take hold of my health. So like working out an hour a day, 5 days a week, and teaching on top of it. And I just, that runs in my family. I didn't want to go down that road. I know what it looks like. And so I took some steps. I started with nutrition after that moment. My health coach started me with nutrition. So for me, I found that learning about that and what that looks like for me is the most important thing. And that is not the same for everybody. So, I needed to find someone who could coach me to what a good nutrition plan looked like for me. I know that like you guys have some knowledge about how to take care of yourselves too, and works for you. We've all talked about this.
Yeah.
But I found that planning my meals and planning my nutrition for the day and not just like falling victim to the stuff that's on the table in the teacher's lounge.
Yeah.
Or the candy dish of the secretary.
They're tempting.
Very tempting. And I was in the cycle of coffee in the morning and wine in the evening, and but not because those are things I enjoy, because I was coping.
Right.
And that's not healthy.
No.
So it's for me, it was moving from like my life is happening to I'm going to intentionally take
Sure.
control of it. So yeah, so that it started with nutrition for me, and it's moved into other areas. But Zoe, you're intentional in other areas of your life, I think, that I'm still learning from you.
Sure.
Can you share a little bit?
I'm happy to share, and I just want to thank you and acknowledge like you being vulnerable and telling about your personal story.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Well,
So
yeah.
the uplifting right there.
I know. Well, I know I'm not alone.
Oh yeah.
What is it? Like 80% of Americans struggle with our weight. Like,
Yes.
Yeah, we are far from alone. And I think that there's power in stories. So yeah, definitely.
Definitely.
There are.
Yeah.
And for me, so this is my 5th year teaching, and like first year teaching is hard for anyone. And so I just like accepted the fact that, some aspects of my life were going to like kind of diminish. Like I had been in sports growing up, and so I was used to exercising a lot every day, and then I was just working so much that kind of like fell by the wayside. And even though I lived in this beautiful area where there was like a trail right by where my apartment was, I was rarely walking or running it. And so some things that have kind of shifted my path from just like accepting that I'm going to be tired, I'm going to be in pain all the time, have been like, first of all, finding people that are giving me energy. And I don't mean to be a energy vampire, because I don't know if you guys have heard of that, but like people that you feel like when you've spent time around them, then you start feeling like
Yeah.
worse, like icky and drained.
Yeah.
Right.
So not that I'm like going like this, like
Right.
trying
Pouring
to be
salt.
weird.
Yeah.
But no,
She walks around with a garlic necklace.
Yeah.
when I do find people who I'm like, you know, no matter what, how much sleep I got the night before or whatever state I'm in, like I feel like they are accepting of me and we can have a good time. Like I think you guys are great examples, and maybe is why we can keep recording podcasts together.
And red bikes.
And ride bikes. We go for bike rides. And
Yeah,
so
we like each other.
We do.
we do.
Yeah.
So I mean, like Andrea is another one in our
Yes.
group of music teachers, and she's always encouraging us to be active.
She's such a good example of
she's
self-care too.
She
We'll have to bring that
is.
up when we get her on the podcast.
I will, and I also want to say, like, there's such a hard, I don't know, for me, it's like almost a daily commitment to myself to value my decision making. And, you know, we don't always get it right. Sometimes we say yes to things that we probably shouldn't. We
Yeah.
overcommit, and then we end
Definitely.
up feeling like, oh man, I can't do my best job on something because I said yes to too many things.
Oh my gosh. Yep.
So it's
That's
like,
my life.
I think it's all of our lives, right?
Definitely.
So like just acknowledging, okay, like today I'm gonna make some decisions, and I try and journal in the morning. That's something intentional that I do. And you guys maybe have this where like you wake up with a million thoughts. And so I try
Go to sleep and wake up.
So try this. Try this, guys.
Okay.
Before you scroll through your feeds and before you do, and this is like a hard one because you're so sleepy and you just like go on autopilot, but try thinking something really positive. And that's why I have my mantra.
Journal.
Yeah, and it's kind of like
Zoe
bookmarked
has-
in there. I could just like
Zoe has a journal full of positive mantras, and
Yeah.
she shares them with me
so,
sometimes, and
you
they're
know,
amazing.
and I just have this because sometimes you can't remember, even if you write it every single day, you don't know.
Definitely.
Right.
So I highly recommend just like, and what is a mantra if you don't even know? It can be like an affirmation. Anything like for me, it's like I will release any negativity that blocks me from speaking my truth. Like that's a, maybe that doesn't resonate with you, but for me
It's
it
a
is.
focus statement.
Yeah,
is what
definitely.
it is. It's just something to kind of focus your energy on and like live with, you know, until you understand it fully. I think that's what I think of. with it.
Totally.
Yeah. Just a short sentence. Sometimes people find that in, you know, scripture. Sometimes people find it just in short positive statements. But I like that because to me it's a practice of stillness and focus. And it's really easy, especially as musicians. I think we live in our heads a little more than the average bear. We're always analyzing things in our own heads. We walk around with our own soundtrack playing to life. And I mean, every teacher I know is just constantly thinking about 10,000 things.
Oh, very much so. Yeah.
And as music teachers, our lives are very full of sensory input. So sometimes I end my day and I'm like, I'm going to explode after hours and hours of like out of tune singing and out of tune strings playing and clacking rhythm sticks and banging drums. And I just need to find silence. So that's hard with a 6 and 7 year old in my, in my home. But I find it by, like I wrote in the article, sometimes I'll just turn off the lights and sit in silence on my lunch break for like 10 minutes. And so it's not even that long,
Right.
but that's important for me to just like allow the sound to stop
Yeah.
just for a minute. Yeah.
Exactly. If you've never sat for 10 minutes, try just 1 minute.
Yeah.
It's
10 minutes
yeah.
can feel like an eternity
Yeah.
if you're not prepared for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the thing is too, to not just sit and think. It's actively participating in silence, which I know it might sound a little strange if you've never done it before. So something that a teacher that I actually learned from when I was student teaching told me this. She sat in her office in silence and she would put her hands on her legs and she would just focus on the warmth of her hands on her legs. And that was it for her. And just thinking about like the feeling of her hands on her legs, like you can do it now. You can just put your hands, palm down, spread your fingers and just take a deep breath. And then I'll let it go. And just focus on the warmth under your fingertips. And if you need to, you can tap your fingertips on your legs. And that's it. And something about just taking a deep inhale and a deep exhale. If you're feeling really anxious and you're thinking too much about what could be or what was that was not perfect, it's an important thing.
It's emptying the words out of your heads.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's needed.
It is needed.
Yeah. I think for me, a big part of how I do self-care is like physical aspects is definitely important, but already been addressed. But for me, two things is also, as Zoe said, community is a big part, especially as music teachers. It's easy for us to think we're isolated folk, stuck in our own, and no one understands us.
The only weirdo at our school, right?
Yeah, and so it's easy for us to feel isolated, and that leads to paranoia, and that leads to a big cycle, which it's important for you to find a supportive community. But for me also, something that's been important in the narrative of my life is mental health. I know a lot of people, friends, community members that just struggle with mental health issues. And there's, unfortunately, there's a slow push into understanding that mental health isn't a bad thing. It's not a stigma. We're trying, unfortunately, like in 2019, we're understanding more and more about it. But something that I've always that I always found that helps us is because we often consume things a lot, be it food, be it things on social media, be it just the constant hearing of like everything you see is trying to advertise something to you. And what I've found that helps with mental health and also with just self-care as well is creating, because we consume so much and it's important for us to actually do and create to push back against it.
Ooh,
yeah. So
that's powerful.
So back in April, I have a friend over in Japan. She encouraged me to do something called escape roll, which is like writing a poem every day.
Escape roll.
Yeah.
I dig.
Yeah. So I jumped in midway and it was like, okay, cool. That was fun. And it got me into like the creative modes of like, and gives you, so the idea behind this escape roll, it's everyone is creating a poem based on a certain topic. Usually they're very abstract, so anyone can write anything, and there's no right or wrong way to do it. It's just do it, pretty much. And then make a thing and do it with words, words being the medium. Right now I'm in the middle of Inktober, which is once a day you draw something, or for me, I'm trying to at least publish something. So I'm front loading, drawing maybe 3 things a day and then just slowly submitting. So day 1 was ring. So some people drew their phone ringing, or I drew a handbell ringing, whatnot. And so something simple. Then got into like freeze was day 4 or something. Then enchanted. So I drew something from the movie Your Name. And so so this has been my way of like I'm constantly just been bombarded with a lot of thoughts in my head and a lot of just things just being poured into me, but being able to create has allowed me to center myself, and this is something that I've done. This is my art, and I'm okay.
It's really important. We went into this profession because we wanted to give that outlet to our kids.
Very much so, yeah.
And it's really easy to forget to do it for ourselves.
It is.
Yeah. Especially for me, because I was a music composition major in college, and I do some arranging for students, but I don't do it enough of it. And for me, actually, writing music is it's not a daunting task, but it's a very it's a giving task. You give a lot out. And so for me to just do something as low level as just draw something, it's creating still, but it's also harmless. It's just...
Yeah, you're not going to be judged on it.
You're not being judged, and you're not judging yourself either.
Right.
Yeah.
Just make a thing. I like that. I try to play something on my recorder once in a while that just makes me happy. I did that today. Pulled out the Orff book and played through a couple things just for fun. And I like to learn things on the ukulele that incorporate like 1 or 2 little chords that I don't know yet, but they're just pop songs usually. Yes. But I also have a collection of 1920s sheet music.
Nice.
That's what I get when I go to thrift stores or like the antique stores in Ocean Beach. I like to find them. I have some real gems. Oh my gosh, they're so good. Because that used to be, how people played popular music was on their own pianos. So there's some really sweet ones.
Fridging for Becky.
Huh?
Fridging for Becky on the ukulele.
A lot of those old piano charts will have ukulele chords with them too.
That's awesome.
It was a popular little instrument back in the day. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, my favorite song that I found so far is called Garden in the Rain. It's really sweet. Yeah,
nice.
I like it. So so find something that brings you joy.
I want to
Practice
just
mindfulness.
Yeah. And if you are in that spot right now, like where you are exhausted and you don't even know where to start, maybe like even while listening to this podcast, actually, I think listening to podcasts can be really grounding sometimes, but
It could do both.
or
do both.
distracting.
Yes.
It could be too distracting.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to pause it right now and take a deep breath.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We won't judge you.
So sometimes
As long as you come back.
sometimes I find myself in that spot of like, oh, I don't know what to do. I know I don't feel good. But what I started doing is in the first 2 pages, or like second or third or fourth page, let's see, of my journal, I just have a list of self-care items so that when
I
you
like
are
that.
there and you just can't even think straight, then you have it. And in my little, see, page 1, self-care, I thought about it. Thank you, former self. And it can be like the simplest things, and I try and make the simplest ones at the top of my list, like wash your face,
Yeah.
That's a good one.
drink water, call a friend, walk, and just, yeah.
It's simple, but checking something off is just such you accomplish something, and it's needed, I feel like.
Spoken like a true achiever. Is that one of your strengths?
Actually, no, it's not.
Oh,
no,
that's
not top
really?
5. No.
Okay. All right.
But no, for me, actually, growing up, I had this mentality, checking lists off is like, we can be more than that. But there's something just doing something, checking something off is like, you accomplish something for the day. And it's simple as like washing your face.
Wash your face.
It's important first off for, hygiene, but also just for, like, again, going back to my focus, like for your mental health, you did it.
Right. You did a positive thing. I have a list in my phone actually that I keep. So when I went on my health journey, I had to break some real, this is me being really vulnerable, but I had to break some real emotional eating patterns that were not serving me well. And that is not easy because that's powerful. And when, food is what you've turned to your whole life to kind of like stuff the feeling. I used to joke, like, I don't drink my cares away. I suffocate them with chocolate chip cookies. But it was kind of true.
No, but yeah,
I hid behind my jokes.
We slide those jokes.
We did, but it was real.
It's real.
So I have a really similar list, and it is things. I have things like shave my legs.
Yeah.
Because like
Sometimes
how can
you
be mad
forget.
about that? Sometimes you forget, and then you just feel better.
Yeah.
So
Wait,
Jonathan,
I'm supposed to
maybe
shave
you
my
should
legs?
shave your legs. No, your head.
What?
You shave your head.
My head.
Fresh shave.
I was running with a joke here. I'm like,
I know. Or eat something like crisp and fresh, something alive, like a piece of fruit, something that came off the tree.
Yep.
Especially. Or sometimes I need to light a nice smelling candle. I love those ones from Anthropology. Or call a friend or call my mom,
Yes.
And for me, I found that sensory things are really important, and maybe, eating the apple would be too triggering if it's a behavior I'm trying to break. So I splurged on some nice smelling lotion. I know you love your oils. But I know. Well, we live in Southern California, so oils
no,
are
that's
kind
not what I'm
of a crazy
referring to,
thing.
but
Oh, no.
No, we're not going to talk about it right now.
Never mind. Okay. But sometimes, like, if you're seeking that sensory input that is comforting, like a soft blanket or, you're so crazy.
Why are you giggling?
He just...
Moving on.
Yeah, okay.
Moving on.
Don't worry about Jonathan. So anyway, yeah, I know
Yeah.
this is probably the most Southern California episode that we have
Oh, yeah.
recorded thus far. I feel like we could take a beat to acknowledge that.
Hey, but maybe you've noticed that we're always like drinking like little cans of something on our
Sparkling water.
Yeah, and so if you are craving a soda, this is a great alternative. It takes a little bit of getting used to, and
It
one
does.
thing that I did at first was I would just pour a little bit of orange juice in, like half and half, and then like gradually just more of the just bubbly water and less of the juice, and now it's just like another way to hydrate,
Yeah,
which is great.
it's true. It's just straight up water with
Which
a
is
little bit
water.
of essential oil in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
good.
Finding those healthy alternatives is really important. Yeah. And just I think the key is structuring your day and your self-care items with intention instead of just expecting them to happen. Because if you just kind of hope that you have time for stuff, it ain't gonna happen. So when I get home at the end of the day, I take my kids for a walk to the park on the corner. It's 3/4 of a mile and it's uphill. And so I get my walk in. They're easier to deal with because little boys are like dogs. You have to walk them or they tear the house apart. I mean, that's just true. And like the whole evening is just more peaceful because mama got a little exercise and the boys got a little exercise. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Yeah. So we just know now that's part of our family routine. That's what we do. I drink sparkling water instead of diet soda, which is straight poison. It never made me feel good. And it's not about like giving like if we're talking about food or drink, like I was talking about earlier, I had to break this in myself. It's not about it being a good food or a bad food or I was good today because I did this. I kind of really reject that language.
Right.
Food it doesn't have a moral value. It is, you know, how does it make you feel? Is it serving you well? Do you have energy to give because you fueled yourself well? Because food is fuel and that's all it is. And it does have an effect on you. So, you know, you deserve to feel your best. So are you doing the things that lead to that?
Totally.
And teaching is like something you might enjoy, but it's still important to have that extra outlet. It's still important to think about what happens out after those hours, because you aren't just a teacher.
No,
that's not your identity.
You're a whole being.
You're a person.
Yeah.
So I have like a self-care goal and I don't know how much control I have over it, but every December or January, I have gotten laryngitis since I started teaching.
Yeah.
And so I really don't want to fall into that this year and it's around the concert season. And I think at least for me, I tend to overexert my voice when I'm getting closer and closer to the concerts.
Yeah.
And then
plus the weather,
it gets dry and a little colder, even here in San Diego. Yeah. And then
believe it.
I won't complain about the weather here.
Oh no, I'm not complaining, but it does get not hot.
I know the weather in San Diego is really rough.
It's
Sometimes
so rough.
it drops below 60, and then like, what do you do?
But
painful.
so I don't know. Do you guys have any tips for those music teachers? Because I think when we release this, it might be December.
Yeah, it's like snowy outside.
Yeah. So what can we
here.
do? What can we do for our music teachers like me who tend to fall into that kind of winter?
I think using tools. For me, at least, I felt like I felt that, I can do this. I'll just push through it. Like I used to teach bucket drumming around January, and then I lost my voice.
Oh,
in January,
'cause you're yelling.
I'm shouting off those buckets, and so like I remember one time I tried using a microphone on a stand. That was like a visual monstrosity, but it worked. And I think even I felt disconnected because speaking to a microphone and hearing your voice out of the amplification as opposed to just hearing your voice come out of your mouth. Maybe this is just me. It felt disconnected, but
Kids pay really good attention though when they hear you on a mic.
That is true.
Yeah.
Yes.
Studies have shown. No, seriously.
Yes, you're right. But yeah, like I think just allowing yourself to think.
I have an aerobics instructor mic that I wear sometimes.
You got your Britney Spears mic?
Yeah, my Britney mic. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, like using tools and allowing yourself to feel like there are other ways to teach. There are other ways to convey your thoughts, and it doesn't have to just be one way.
That's true. Yeah.
I don't know if they answered your question, but it was like my broad.
I'll take anything this year.
Finding something fresh is good. Making time for movement inside, YouTube is a great resource. Find yourself some workouts that you can do in your living room. And to me, a workout no longer has to be in the gym, lifting weights and stuff. I just get it in where I can. So, I mean, we live in San Diego. I go for a walk, but if all you have time for is some push-ups against your counter and some squats and some lunges.
Okay, so maybe for our content today, we can do some like do-it-yourself workout in your very easy to do.
In your classroom.
Let's do it.
You have a way of getting your push-ups in, right?
Oh,
I do.
We've talked about this before.
But today I had no students, so so I'm doing really well. I haven't called you James yet. So if I get your name wrong, students, I will do a push-up. But
one?
Just one?
Just one. If it's two students that get mixed up, I'll do one for each student.
Got it. Okay.
If I call you James and there's a James sitting right there, I'll be like, I'm sorry. Okay, 2 push-ups.
Yeah. There was something I had in mind.
I'll share one thing that I've done this school year.
Okay.
So I have been making appointments for self-care things.
Okay.
And
putting them in your phone.
Yeah. And I have intentionally done them in my most stressful weeks. For example, I put on the big music festival, Rochella, and there was a camp leading up in the 4 days before. Thank you, snaps. And the camp ended at 5, and so I was just like so exhausted or 5:30 every day, tired, still at my school. And then so the Thursday I scheduled acupuncture, which I had never done before this year, and I had started doing that because I was having some knee pain. My knees were locking up. But anyway, it doesn't have to be acupuncture. But I had that on the Thursday before the concert, where normally I would be at home, like filling out spreadsheets, making sure everything is good to go. I was like, no, for an hour and a half, you will leave school as soon as, programming is done, and you're going to go take care of yourself. So I've done that a couple times and feeling pretty good.
Nice.
Good.
I think it goes back to what Crystal was saying earlier. You gotta be intentional with this stuff.
Yeah, you need structure.
Be it through like planning on when your stressful day is to allow for something to be relaxing to happen, or be it creating, be it diet, be it XYZ. Like, but being intentional as opposed to just letting things by. If you let things by, you're going to erode.
Yeah, it's true. One of my favorite T-shirts says "Free Spirit, Embracing Structure."
I like that.
If I don't have structure, everything falls apart. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we don't have a guest here today, but
We
I
don't.
do want to give you guys props, the two of you, for allowing yourselves to try new things, and at least to
Yeah, me
entertain
too.
the idea. And something that I value about both of you is that you don't underestimate yourselves, and you both, or John maybe does,
do.
but he
A
doesn't
lot.
tell me. He doesn't tell me, because what I see is extraordinary. You putting out just things that I would never think of, but maybe in your mind it's on another level.
That's something I'm working on. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
Isn't it interesting how we undervalue our own strengths so often in
Oh,
our
yeah.
heads? I think that's a human thing, but
It's human condition, yeah.
I
Or
agree. You guys are pretty great.
I think we also just circulate around caring people that
yeah.
shoot themselves more than praise themselves more.
Yeah. Yeah. I just think it's a pretty human inclination to take the things you're good at and just not value them.
Sure.
But you have uniqueness to contribute, and so owning that, I think, is step one in just acknowledging that you are someone worth taking care of.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That was deep, Crystal.
I go there. That's what my health coaching calls sound like. So don't talk to me about health coaching unless you want to go deep, because that's how this works.
Well, did anyone bring a Spiccato? What if we all share a stretch?
A stretch.
A stretch.
Yes.
So, okay.
Or-
we just explain it, because with my earbuds in here, that ain't going to work by doing
So
it.
I know.
in Joshua's class, you do a stretch while you are explaining something.
Ah,
So
yeah.
that maybe we can
Okay.
say, because we just had our 2-week fall break, maybe you can say one or more things that you did as self-care while you show us a stretch.
Okay.
Okay.
So it has to be probably upper body stretch.
Sure.
Okay, unless
Since
we're
we are
shift.
seated.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess I'll start.
Okay.
For our listeners, I'm going to be doing a tricep stretch. So
Oh, very nice.
having an arm up,
Reach up high.
reach up high, and then have it go behind your back.
Pat yourself on the back.
Other arm is going to push down
On your elbow.
and just feel it burn.
Ooh.
Anyways.
Yeah.
What did you do?
So one of the weekends I drove up to see a good friend of mine up in Napa, and then you gotta switch arms. 'Cause we're good. And then I was only there for a weekend, so I saw her for 2 days. And between that, I was sandwiched between. I went to Marin County. I went to this place called Point Reyes, and I went for a hike there. And I used to go on hiking. We used to go hiking there a lot with my family growing up. It's a place called Arch Rock. And unfortunately, in 2015, it collapsed. It's a natural arch of rock, and it unfortunately in 2015 it collapsed. But I still went on the hike, and
Are we doing another stretch?
yeah, I'm just
We're rolling our
All
shoulders.
right.
rolling our shoulders
great,
now.
we're going
Yes,
with
and it was just Marin County is a beautiful place. Yeah, but it's an interesting place. Beautiful, interesting, high concentration of bikers. Everything costs $300. But
Leave us a comment if you're from Marin County.
yeah.
Welcome to California. If you're not, everything does cost $300.
Unless you're in like the middle,
Yeah,
a
that's
little
true.
differently. Okay, but yeah, so It was a really weird break for me, but being able to see my friend up in Napa and then going, might as well shout out. Hey, Kat. Seeing my friend Kat up in Napa and then going to Marin County to hike and Point Reyes. It's just been a good time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nice.
Good. We have a fall break because we're a year-round district.
Yes,
so
and we start in
just feel like
July.
we do. We start in July, so really short summer. But I gotta tell you guys, like that fall break is worth its weight in
Yep.
gold.
Yeah, it's great.
It is great. It comes right when we need it. So
Right.
we do our first quarter. We're
9
done with
weeks.
our first quarter. Yeah, done with our first quarter by the last week in September. So we get the last week in September and 1st of October off. So that's where we're all coming from. So yeah, so reach behind your back with one hand, grab your opposite elbow with it, and reach your other hand straight to the ground. It's a nice little stretch.
Okay.
When you
Sorry.
feel ready, you can switch. Don't
So
bump
what are you
the
stretching
table.
now?
I don't know. It just feels good.
Okay.
Yeah. So we did a lot over our fall break. I took my parents though on a trip. It was their 40th wedding anniversary, and it was my mom's 60th birthday.
Snaps.
So big year for mom and dad.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
we took them and our kids and like the whole fam bam, all 6 of us. We went to Cabo. We stayed at a resort because when you go at the end of September, it's real cheap.
Yeah.
It was really fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, my turn. So we're gonna take a in breath and extend.
So right now you are Zoe is grabbing her pinky.
Her pinky, bending it backwards very gently. You probably have all the good finger exercises with the bass
I do. This
playing.
is something that I did in yoga for performers.
Okay.
So you do
Ooh.
like a breath in and
Is
you.
this to work your carpal?
Sure.
Right here? I'm curious.
Let's ask a doctor.
Okay.
I don't
Perfect.
know.
If you know, comment, like, subscribe.
Yeah. Hey, doctors. Leave us a comment. So, over break, I also got to spend a lot of time with family, which was great. We went to see the in-laws in Florida, and just like every day hanging out, playing board games, and having a great time. And then once you get to your thumb, you can flip over your hand, and I love this part. You just and of course, if it hurts, don't do
Yeah.
what I do.
Just fold all your fingers over gently.
Have it tense, but not
Very nice.
kill it.
Yeah. So when I got back, like we actually have a wellness committee at my school.
Oh, nice.
So some of our organizer was organizing, our speech therapist was organizing a hike around Lake Murray or Lake something,
Lake Murray.
Miramar, or
Oh, okay.
one of the
Well,
Lake M's.
One of the
One of
lakes
the
out
M's.
here.
Yeah.
And
Gotcha.
I was thinking, oh, that'd be great. But then I was so like peopled out.
Fair.
And so I said no. And I just spent the day by myself, which I hadn't had in months. I realized because of the way that the school year, we left the day after Rochella. So I had not had a day to myself. And it was really nice. So that was my self-care, was just like having some quiet time to myself. I did Marie Kondo my kitchen.
Oh yeah.
Brian, you'd be so happy. I got my label maker out.
My husband loves his label maker.
Yeah. That's how I knew we'd be friends.
Yep. He labels everything.
Me too.
All the kids' toys are labeled according to type.
As they should be.
I organize my music room very differently than my home. But good for you. Good for you. I'm glad your label maker brings you joy, Zoe.
It does.
Yeah, for those listening, those watching as well, we really appreciate you guys being a part of this, and we really appreciate also the comments we've been getting on Facebook. We always try to respond, but we always see them, that's for sure. But if you're viewing this on YouTube, or if you're not, you should view this on YouTube because for funsies and to see our weird faces. But
Just
also,
John's weird face.
Yeah, just mine. It's
Mine's
all
normal.
zoomed right
So
close to my
Zoe.
face the whole time. Like you hear Zoe's face, but you see mine. Anyways. Yeah, it would help us a lot if you would just make sure you subscribe so you could see more of this content, and so that also this content is seen for other people that need to practice self-care, because
And
that's
find
super
community.
needed.
We need each other.
We do need each other.
We do.
Also, speaking of community, it would be great to also, it has nothing to do with community. Please leave us a review. It helps us a lot.
It does.
It helps us, and also helps you guys, and it helps us make sure that these things are still pumping out so that we can give you the best content.
That's right. All right. Round of the week. I have the best round to help 5th grade boys sing. Loudly and with gusto.
Okay.
Okay. So it is to the tune of Frere Jacques, which is a lovely round. But so I used this my very first year in the district when I was like, how am I going to convince almost middle school boys that singing is a good idea when they've never used their singing voices before and they think I'm insane and they only see me once a month? And then a veteran music teacher, hi Margie, whom I adore, told me this, and it is gold. She made the Star Wars round. Or she started using it. And I'm not sure if she came up with it back in the 70s during Star Wars Episode 1 or whatever. See, I don't even know. I'm a bad nerd.
Zoom on Crystal's face right now. We're zooming in right now.
Please don't crucify me online for that. Whatever. The first movie, okay?
You can add her at Mrs. Pridmore.
On Twitter. No, don't unleash the Twitter gods. But they love it. It still works. So this is the Star Wars round. It's really cute. It goes R2D2, R2D2, C3PO, C3PO, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Han Solo, Han Solo. And I got them all singing. They loved it.
That's awesome.
It was amazing.
So we need BB-8.
Here we go.
Oh, sorry.
R2D. Yeah, you got it. R2D2,
Okay.
C3PO, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Okay. Just go straight to the rounds.
Also, here we go.
And third?
We got it.
Oh, yeah.
R2D2, R2D2,
R2D2, R2D2, C3PO, C3PO, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Obi-Wan Kenobi,
Obi-Wan Kenobi, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Han Solo, Han Solo.
Hit that bass note.
You chose a low key.
I did. I'm sorry. My soprano is really faltering this evening. Anyway.
Episode 4.
Yeah.
All right.
Episode 4. I know. I told you I'm a bad
okay.
nerd.
I forgive you.
I can't even tell you the plot of the last 2 Star Wars movies.
That's okay.
I don't care.
So if you would like to, where can we find you, Zoe?
You can find me on Twitter at Ms. Kumagai.
You can find me on Twitter too at Mrs. Pridmore.
You make sure you remember that, guys. And you can find me on Instagram and also Twitter at Mr. Seligman, MrSeligman. You can feel free to write to us at also on Twitter at CH Classroom.
Yep.
Yes. As well as, I know my words. And also, if you would like to email us, share your thoughts, feel free to do that at chaoticharmonyclassroom@gmail.com.
You did it, John.
You did it. You got through that.
Proud of you.
That was a lot. May the force be with you.
And with you. So say we all.
And also with you.
Have a good week, guys.
The Chaotic Harmony podcast is a joint project between Crystal Pridmore, Jonathan Seligman, Zoe Kumagai, and Marc Keehmer. You can find us online at chaoticharmonyclassroom.com. You can email us at chaoticharmonyclassroom@gmail.com and let us know what you think. Give us feedback about what you would like to hear in future episodes. We're on all the socials. Find us on facebook.com/chaoticharmonyclassroom. You can find us on Twitter at CHClassroom, Instagram at Chaotic Harmony Classroom, and you can even find our episodes on YouTube. Chaotic Harmony is the name of our channel. Special thanks to Brian Pridmore for his help with production and equipment. www.pridmoria.com.
Okay, so last time we talked about Sandra, arts integration, classroom management, shifting classroom culture. So today is planning time. We're going to talk to Hans.
And then we're doing self-care.
And then we're going into racism in music.
We're not ready for that yet.
And me drawing doodles.
What is happening right now?
I think we should do... Well, you asked if there's anything I want to hit. My husband's right there.
Oh my gosh, Crystal.
No.
Crystal,
Never
you gotta
giving
focus.
her that oil
I'm
ever
bad
again. Never. It was too potent.
Welcome to Chaotic Harmony. So if you're listening to this in the car with children...
They won't get it. I have a 6 and a 7-year-old. They're clueless. Also, next
Okay.
time I do a concert, I'm totally wearing a sign on my back that says like not available at the moment for teacher conferences. Because
Right.
literally, like as I'm cleaning, nobody ever cares about finding the music teacher and talking to me until I'm setting up for a concert. Can I get an amen? Anybody?
Amen.
Am I alone
Amen.
here? Thank you for that.